It's my birthday. The moment I woke up, the door to our bedroom was kicked open. My wife grabbed a handful of my hair. You thought you could run with our daughter? On your knees. Nina, our daughter, immediately switched sides. Mommy, I don't want to go with Daddy. I love you the most. Here's how it all started. My wife, Jocelyn, is the CEO of a major corporation. I'm the stay-at-home husband who got famous on TikTok by posting clips of a day in the life with my rich wife. It was a good life until a man showed up at our door, telling me I was just a stand-in for the ghost of a past love. After 6 years of marriage, a new replacement showed up with a delivery of green fruit. Limes, green plums, unripe mangoes. He said, Jocelyn sent these. So fresh and green. Just like the horns you're growing. He told me I was nothing but a substitute, and that he, thanks to a little plastic surgery funded by Jocelyn, was a 9 out of 10 replica of the man she'd always loved. She had even bought him a company, spent all night with him. I believed him. I asked my daughter who she wanted to be with. She chose me. That same day, I took my daughter and ran. The doorbell rang at 10 in the morning. I opened it to a face that was both familiar and strange. Leo Sparks. Of the many underprivileged students my wife, Jocelyn Jiang, had sponsored, he was by far the most exceptional. An NYU honor student, I'd heard. He was holding several large fruit baskets, his smile blindingly bright. Ethan, my man, came to see how you're doing. I let him in. The penthouse was empty, just me. Our daughter, Nina, was still at her preschool, hours away from being picked up. Leo began arranging the fruit on the coffee table. Limes, green plums, green mangoes, guavas, green jujubes, kiwis, starfruit. I stared at the sea of green, a vein throbbing in my temple. What's this? A gift. From Jocelyn. Leo's eyes roamed around the apartment, a playful, proprietary glint in them. She said you could use some nice-looking fruit. Get your vitamins in. He paused, his gaze deliberately flicking to the top of my head. You see this color? So healthy. He smirked. So fresh and green. Just like the horns you're growing. The TV remote in my hand creaked under the pressure of my grip. A hot rage shot up for the soles of my feet. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Leo turned, looking at me as if I'd just told the world's dumbest joke. It means exactly what you think it means. He settled back into the sofa like he owned the place. A man ought to know his place, Ethan. You shouldn't get greedy for things that were never yours. Did you really think your little Cinderella story would last forever? You're just a replacement. A stand-in. My mind went blank, as if I'd been hit with a sledgehammer. A replacement? Yep. Leo stood up and walked over to me. He pointed his own eyes, then at mine. Go look in a mirror. See any similarities between us? I shook my head. We look nothing alike. He let out a derisive laugh. Wow, you really don't get it, do you? Haven't you noticed that your eyes are 90% matched with mine? That's because we both look like him. Jocelyn's childhood sweetheart. The one that got away. The one who died. He had our eyes. Get it now. That's the only reason you're here. I was frozen, staring at him in disbelief. Leo was clearly enjoying my reaction. He decided to drop another bomb. You've seen me before, right? Notice anything different now? He patted his face smugly. That's right. Jocelyn paid for it. A few little tweaks to my face. To make me look more like him. Now, it's not just the eyes. My whole face is a 9 out of 10 match. So, you might as well pack your bags. Stop warming a seat that isn't yours. I was shaking with anger, but I couldn't form a single word in response. In my agitation, I bit the canker sore inside my cheek. SSS, the sharp pain jolted me. This was insane. Jocelyn would never. Why the hell should I believe you? I finally roared. Leo just smiled, slowly pulling out his phone. You don't. Jocelyn didn't come home last night, did she? You know what? He scrolled through his phone. Because she was with me. All night. She bought me a new media company. We were christening the new office. He shoved the phone screen in my face. It was a selfie. Leo was in the foreground, flashing a peace sign, a triumphant grin plastered across his face. In the background, sitting on a couch, was the unmistakable figure of my wife. It was a bit blurry, but I could clearly see the word media on the wall behind her. Go ahead, ask her, he taunted. Look, we're in the same boat, you and I. It's just that I'm the upgrade, and you're being phased out. After all, I'm a more perfect replacement. He pocketed his phone, patted me on the shoulder, and headed for the door. Hang in there, man. Plenty of fish in the sea, right? Oh, and by the way, those fruits Jocelyn sent, that was her telling you to walk away with some dignity. Leave on your own, or you'll be wearing that green like a crown. Ping. A notification on my phone. A message from Leo. He had sent me the same picture he'd just shown me, the one of him and Jocelyn. Beneath it was a caption. Good luck, buddy. I'm moving on up. I stared at the photo. Leo's peace sign and smug grin felt like two needles stabbing into my eyes. He was gone, and the penthouse was silent again. I collapsed onto the couch, my head a chaotic mess. A substitute. Me. How could I be a substitute? My thoughts rippled outward back to years ago. My family wasn't rich, but we were comfortable. My parents were high school teachers, traditional and strict. Their biggest dream for me was to study hard, get a government job, become a teacher, and live a stable, predictable life. So when I got into a good college and got a girlfriend my freshman year, they cut off my allowance without a second thought. College was for studying, they said. No money, no girlfriend. She dumped me. For survival, and for a shred of pride, I started working part-time as a bartender at a pub near campus. That's where I met Jocelyn. She was clearly having a bad night, sitting alone at the bar, downing drink after drink. Seeing she'd had enough, I offered a word of caution. She grabbed my wrist, her inhibitions gone with the alcohol. Hey there, college boy, she said, her eyes sparkling with a mix of drunkenness and mischief. Where do you go to school? Want to hang with me? I could take care of you. Be my sugar baby. She was audacious, her fingers tracing light circles on my palm. I was a sheltered kid. I'd never encountered anything like it. My face turned crimson. Luckily, her best friend, Jenna Ming, showed up just in time to drag her home. The next day, she called me. Her voice was soft and apologetic. She insisted on taking me to dinner to make up for it. I tried to refuse, but she was persistent, a completely different person from the night before. I went, my heart pounding. Over dinner, we discovered we went to the same university. I was a sophomore. She was a senior about to graduate. She didn't have to worry about her future like the rest of us. Her father's company was waiting for her. She could show up to class or work whenever she pleased. I remember thinking the gap between some people was wider than the gap between humans and dogs. After that, she became a regular fixture on campus, eating with me in the dining hall, strolling through the quad. We fell for each other, naturally and easily. On her graduation day, she gave a speech as the valedictorian, confident and radiant. At the party that night, she held my hand and introduced me to all her friends. This is my boyfriend, Ethan Vance. He's super handsome and so good to me. She showered me with praise until I didn't know where to put my hands. Eventually, I graduated too. She waved her hand, signed off on my internship, and had me work alongside her. I introduced her to my rigid parents. She introduced me to her family. Her parents were open-minded, saying that as long as their daughter was happy, they were happy. Everything was unbelievably perfect. We got our marriage license, and a year later, we had Nina. Our life together was sweet. I remember a trip we took to New Orleans at a fortune teller stall in the French Quarter. She insisted we get a reading on our marriage. Afterward, she looked at me earnestly. Ethan, will we be together forever? Will we have our own kids? I laughed and tapped her nose. Of course, we'll be together forever. As for kids, if we can't afford it, you'll just have to support all of us. She immediately puffed out her chest. No problem. My family's rich, I'll support you. You just have to be my handsome trophy husband. I joked back, so I'll just be kept man? If you're ever not good to me or the baby, I'll have to take the kid and run. The sweeter the memory, the more bitter the reality. I snapped back to the present, feeling like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head. All those moments I thought were born from love now seemed like a meticulously crafted lie. All because my eyes resembled some dead guys. I picked up my phone, staring at that infuriating picture. My heart sank stone by stone. Leo was gone. The penthouse was terrifyingly quiet. I sat paralyzed on the couch, zooming in and out of that picture. Leo's triumphant smile, Jocelyn's blurry form behind him, the damning word media on the wall. On autopilot, I opened my TikTok account. Ethan Vance's trophy husband life, 10M followers. My profile picture was a photo of me and Jocelyn, her head on my shoulder, smiling like a kid. My latest video, posted 2 days ago, showed me in the kitchen preparing a fancy wellness tonic for her. The caption read, "Wifey's working hard, so hubby's got to keep her healthy." Tens of thousands of comments flooded in. Ethan out here, making the rest of us look bad. Where can I find a husband like this? I'm not jealous, you're jealous. I would kill for this life. I stared at the smiling man on the screen and felt a wave of disgust. What a perfect husband. What a sweet life. I was nothing but a carefully orchestrated performance. A clown. A substitute hidden in plain sight. No, I couldn't just take Leo's word for it. I needed proof. Something that would shatter my hope for good. I didn't dare call Jocelyn directly. I was afraid of the answer I didn't want to hear, and even more afraid she'd placate me with more lies. My thumb scrolled through my contacts, finally stopping on one name, Jenna Meng, Jocelyn's best friend since they were kids. If anyone knew Jocelyn's secrets, it was her. The phone rang a few times before she picked up. Ethan, well, this is a surprise. What made you think of little old me? Jenna's cheerful voice came through the speaker. I forced my voice to sound casual. Hey, just checking in. You eaten? What V you been up to? Just finished. You know, the usual, living the dream. Speaking of, why haven't you posted your daily dose of PDA? The internet is waiting. She was joking, but my heart was hammering against my ribs. I managed a dry laugh, then took a deep breath, circling the topic before finally diving in. Jenna, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Oh, getting serious are we? Did she have a childhood sweetheart? One who passed away? My palm was slick with cold sweat as I asked. There was a pause on the other end, followed by Jenna's unrestrained laughter. Why are you asking about that all of a sudden? She was laughing so hard she could barely speak. Yeah, that happened. I can't believe you didn't know. My heart plummeted. Jenna was still talking, her tone light with reminiscence. Back when Jocelyn was a senior in college, not long before that night, she went to the bar. She actually confessed to him. Boom. Something in my head exploded. She confessed to another man right before she met me. Leo's words, Jenna's confirmation. They were two sledgehammers, pulverizing my last shred of denial. Hello? Ethan, you still there? Yeah, I'm here. My voice was a raw, unfamiliar rasp. Thanks for telling me, Jenna. I've always considered you a friend. I hung up before she could say anything else. As I did, I thought I heard her mutter, weirdo. Yeah, weird. How could I, her husband, be the last to know something so important? It was laughable. Utterly, tragically laughable. I still wasn't satisfied. I needed to hear it from her. My hands trembling, I dialed the number I knew by heart. Jocelyn. She answered, her voice cool and tinged with exhaustion. Hello, what's up? Hey, Joe. Where are you up to? I try to sound normal. In a meeting. I'm swamped. What is it? Oh, someone dropped off some fruit today. Limes, green plums. I tested the waters. Was that from you? What about it? She retorted. Yes, I sent it. What? You don't like it? You're eating it anyway. It's full of vitamin C. Good for your canker sore. Her words were like needles pricking my heart. She remembered I had a canker sore. But now that small act of care felt disgusting. Was she caring for me, or for a face that resembled someone else's? I mustered all my courage and asked the fatal question. Jocelyn, were you in love with your childhood sweetheart, the one who died? My palm was slick with cold sweat as I asked. The other end of the line went silent. A long, stretching silence where every second felt like an eternity. Just as I thought she wouldn't answer, she finally spoke. No, I never loved him. He's dead, and I'm glad he's dead. Ethan, you are the only person I have ever loved. Her denial was so absolute, her declaration so vehement, yet all I felt was a chilling cold. It was too fake. This wasn't an explanation. It was a lie. It reeked of guilt and defensiveness. Her best friend had confirmed it, and still, she lied to my face. I couldn't listen anymore. I didn't hear another word she said. I get it now, I said quickly, and hung up the phone. After the call, I stared at Jocelyn's name on my screen, the world spinning around me. I skipped lunch. My mind was a tangled mess of Leo's smug face and his venomous words. Then I remembered. I had to pick up Nina. On the drive to her preschool, one thought consumed me. I could lose everything else, but Nina. I had raised her for 6 years. She was my everything. After buckling her into her car's seat, as she chattered away about her day, I stroked her hair, my heart aching with love. While waiting at a red light, I asked casually, Nina, sweetie, Daddy has a question. If you had to choose between Mommy and Daddy, who would you live with? Nina, who had been playing with her fingers, looked up at me, her big eyes, so much like mine, showing no hesitation. I'd choose you, Daddy, of course. You're the best daddy in the whole world. My heart felt like it was going to burst, a painful mix of love and sorrow. I pushed on, my voice thick with emotion. But if you come with me, we might not live in a big house like this anymore. And you might not go to this fancy school. The food might not be as good either. Would you still want to come? Nina's little brow furrowed in serious thought. Then she leaned over and planted a loud, wet kiss on my cheek. As long as I'm with you, Daddy, I don't care about any of that. Even yucky food tastes good when I eat it with you. That was enough. That was all I needed to hear. When we got home, I went straight to the kitchen and, for the first time in ages, cooked a huge feast. All of Nina's favorites: sweet and sour pork, Coca-Cola chicken wings, and French fries. After dinner, I even pulled out the strawberry ice cream she always craved, but Jocelyn rarely allowed. Go on, Daddy says it's okay. You can have as much as you want tonight. Watching her eat, her face smeared with cream and pure joy, the last of my hesitation vanished. Just as Leo had predicted, Jocelyn didn't come home for 3 days. Not a single call, not one text message. Leo, on the other hand, was as punctual as a time clock, sending me daily field reports. More pictures of him and Jocelyn at the new company late at night. There were no overtly intimate moments, but the message was clear. He was there, and I was not. The constant reminder was more painful than any insult. In the photos, Jocelyn was either frowning at documents or talking to other people. Leo always managed to find the perfect angle to frame them together, a victor's smile on his face. He even added captions. Jocelyn is working so hard for our company. Don't worry, Ethan. I'll take good care of her. I stared at my phone, feeling like the world's biggest joke. On the 4th night, after Nina was asleep, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. I was done. This had to end. I opened my iMessage conversation with Jocelyn and sent her the first selfie Leo had shown me, the one with him giving the peace sign and Jocelyn on the couch behind him. I typed, spending a lot of time with him at the new company? She replied almost instantly. Jocelyn, yeah, just work stuff. Getting the new office set up, planning operations. Don't overthink it, it's nothing. I let out a cold, bitter laugh. Ethan, generous of you. Buy him a whole company. This time, the chat bubble went quiet for a long time. Several minutes passed before her reply came through. Jocelyn, how did you know about that? Those 6 words extinguished the last flicker of hope in my heart. She was guilty. She wasn't asking how I knew she was with Leo. She was asking how I knew she'd bought him a company. So, in her mind, spending nights with another man was just work, but giving him a company was the real secret to hide. I laughed at my own foolishness and typed my last reply. Ethan, doesn't matter. Just heard it somewhere. Going to sleep. I turned off my phone and stared at the dark ceiling, sleepless. If she wanted me to step aside, fine. I would. But I was done playing a part in this twisted romance. Ethan Vance was officially done. 05. I watched the shadows on the ceiling all night. When the first ray of dawn sliced through the curtains, I sat up. I was done. Done with being a substitute. Done with being pushed aside. I'm out. I crept into Nina's room. She was fast asleep, her lips puckered like a little rosebud. I leaned down and whispered in her ear, Nina, wake up. Daddy's taking you somewhere amazing. She stirred, mumbling, Daddy, it's still dark. I lowered my voice, making it sound like a grand conspiracy. Do you want to go to a place where you don't have to go to school, where you can ride horses every day and eat all the ice cream you want? No school. Nina was instantly awake, her eyes wide. Really, Daddy? No more school. I promise. I gave her a conspiratorial wink. Who needs school anyway? You could be an influencer with me. We'll go to Asheville, take a month-long vacation, have the time of our lives. What do you say? Yes. A brilliant smile spread across her face, more excited than if it were Christmas morning. Mission accomplished. Like a pair of secret agents, we packed our bags with stealthy speed. I stuffed 2 large suitcases with our clothes, her favorite toys, and my vlogging gear. I didn't leave a thing behind. In the living room, I found a notepad, grabbed a pen, and scrawled 2 words in big, bold letters. I'm gone. I tossed the note onto the coffee table, right on top of the pile of green fruit. It felt damn good. So final. Before leaving, I pulled the SIM card I'd used for 6 years out of my phone and, with a satisfying snap, broke it in half. Goodbye, Jocelyn. Goodbye to this gilded cage that had held me for 6 years. On the way to the airport, Nina was buzzing with excitement, her face pressed against the window. Daddy, do they have bears in Asheville? They do. What about fireflies? Lots of them. Wow. Can we catch them and keep them as pets? I smiled and stroked her hair. No, sweetie. They have their own homes to go to, just like me. It was time to find a home that belonged to just me and Nina. I booked 2 first-class tickets on the next flight to Asheville. It was the last time I would ever use Jocelyn's money. As the plane took off, the force pushed me back into my seat. I looked out the window at the shrinking city below. I felt no attachment, only an overwhelming sense of relief. It was like a vacation from my own life. A little over 2 hours later, we landed at Asheville Regional Airport. The air that greeted us was humid and fragrant with the smell of pine and damp earth. I took a deep breath, feeling like my lungs were being cleansed. I had pre-booked a cabin at a rustic lodge deep in the mountains. The owners were a kind, middle-aged couple who greeted us with warm smiles, helping with our bags and offering us a plate of freshly picked berries. Nina was in heaven. She immediately started chasing their big golden retriever around the yard, her laughter echoing like wind chimes. Watching her run free, any lingering sadness I had about leaving my old life behind evaporated into the clear mountain air. The sky here was a piercing blue, the clouds a brilliant white. Standing in the yard with Nina, looking out at the rolling blue ridge mountains, everything that had happened in New York felt like a distant, absurd dream. Daddy, Nina said, tugging on my hand, her little face turned up to mine. It's so pretty here. I love it. I knelt and pulled her into a hug. I'm glad you do. From now on, this is our new home. 06. My new life in the mountains felt like a dream I never wanted to wake from. Nina and I went wild. We spent our days riding horses across open fields, her small body bouncing in front of me, giggling uncontrollably as her laughter carried across the vast landscape. We fed grass to gentle cows and sheep, Nina's tiny hand nervously offering blades of green to their soft muzzles. All the frustration and bitterness I had accumulated in that gilded cage in New York were washed away by the blue skies and fresh air. I thought this peace would last forever, but I had no idea that, while Nina and I were soaking up our newfound freedom, a storm was brewing thousands of miles away. And at the center of that storm was the wife I had left behind. It started 2 days after we left. Nina's preschool teacher, Ms. Gable, noticed she had been absent for 2 consecutive days. This was highly unusual for Nina Jiang, who was never late and never missed a day. First, she called my number. The line was dead. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Ms. Gable, confused, double-checked the number and tried again. Same result. Finally, she had no choice but to call the emergency contact. When the call came through, Jocelyn was in the middle of a high-stakes board meeting. She glanced at the caller ID, Nina's preschool, Ms. Gable, and frowned. She silenced the call. A moment later, it rang again. A flicker of annoyance crossed Jocelyn's face. Excusing herself from the boardroom, she stepped into the hall. Ms. Gable, is something wrong? Her tone was clipped, impatient. Ms. Jiang, I'm so sorry to bother you at work, the teacher said. It's just that Nina has been absent yesterday and today. I tried calling Mr. Vance, but his number is disconnected. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't sick. Jocelyn's frown deepened. Disconnected? She hung up and immediately dialed my number from her own contacts. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. The same automated voice sent a jolt of dread through her. She quickly opened iMessage to text me, only to be met with a stark, red notification. This person is no longer sharing their location with you. Your message was not delivered. The color drained from Jocelyn's face. She forgot the meeting, forgot everything. She grabbed her car keys and bolted from the office, her heels clacking frantically on the marble floor. She sped home, a terrible premonition growing with every mile. The door to the penthouse was unlocked. She pushed it open to a scene of profound silence. Ethan? Nina. Her voice echoed in the empty space. She raced upstairs, first to Nina's room. It was neat, but many of Nina's most cherished toys and clothes were gone. Her heart sank. She stumbled into our master bedroom. In the walk-in closet, my side was empty. It wasn't just a few outfits. Most of my clothes were gone. And the two large suitcases we kept in storage had vanished. Gone. They were gone. The words slammed into Jocelyn's chest. She staggered backward, leaning against the doorframe, her mind a complete blank. She walked downstairs in a daze, her eyes scanning the living room. Finally, her gaze landed on the note I'd left on the coffee table. The note was sitting right on top of the pile of green fruit she'd had sent over. She walked towards it, her hand trembling as she picked up the piece of paper. On it were the two words I had scrawled in angry, defiant letters. I'm gone. In that instant, all the worry, confusion, and fear coalesced in her chest and exploded into a volcano of pure rage. Her knuckles turned white as she crumpled the heartless note in her fist. Ethan Vance. A roar ripped from her throat, laced with a tremor she didn't recognize herself. You think your little influencer career has gone to your head? You dare pull a take the kid and run stunt on me? You better hide well. She seethed, every word squeezed from between clenched teeth. Because when I find you, I swear if I don't lock you up and make you kneel on a bed of Legos, my name isn't Jocelyn Jiang. 07. My life in Asheville was so idyllic, it felt like a movie. Deep down, I'm a creator. I couldn't just let a 10 million follower account go to waste. More importantly, I wanted to document this new chapter for me and Nina. So, I set up my camera. The lens captured the impossibly blue sky and the endless green fields. I filmed us riding horses. Nina perched in front of me, her small body bouncing with the rhythm of the horse, her hands flailing with joy as her laughter echoed across the landscape. I recorded us by the campfire in our lodge's yard, getting ready for a cookout. I was clumsy with the fire, getting smoke in my eyes until they teared up, while Nina laughed so hard she doubled over. This was a world away from my old content. Before, I was the rich wife's personal chef, a man whose entire world revolved around a kitchen and Jocelyn. Now, the man on camera was Nina's father, a free man, a real person. I edited the footage together, setting it to a light, folksy acoustic track. The video opened with Nina's joyful, smiling face. It ended with the two of us sitting side by side on a grassy hill, watching the sunset. By the time I finished, night had fallen. The grill was hot, and the sound of sizzling skewers filled the air. I cracked open a beer for myself and poured Nina a glass of milk. Hey, Nina, I said, taking a long, satisfying sip. Tomorrow is Daddy's birthday. You gonna give me a present? Nina was halfway through a chicken skewer, her face a mess. She tilted her head, thinking hard. But I don't have any money. I teased her. No money, no present. And if I don't get a present, Daddy's going to be very sad. Her eyes darted around before she leaned in and planted a big, greasy kiss on my cheek. There, my kiss is your present. The smoky, savory feeling spread across my face. I pretended to wipe it off with a frown. It's all greasy. I don't like this present. Inside, I was beaming. This was better than any expensive gift Jocelyn had ever given me. Nina saw my disgusted look and pouted. Well, that's the only one you're getting. I burst out laughing, pulling her into a hug and kissing her forehead. After our barbecue, I lounged in a chair, phone in hand, and reviewed the video one last time. It was good. I gave a title, Leaving the Past Behind. Starting a new life with my little girl. Without a second thought, I hit upload. As a major influencer, my videos always blew up instantly. But I didn't pay attention to the stats. I tossed my phone aside and started catching fireflies with Nina. I had no idea that while we were chasing bugs in the dark, my video was causing an explosion online. The comments section went insane. Whoa, did Ethan get a divorce? That title has so much drama. Leaving the past behind. Is he leaving his rich wife? Finally, Ethan's standing up for himself, a real man. Can we just talk about how beautiful this place is? Drop the location, bro. And, of course, among the thousands of comments was one very special viewer. Miles away, Jocelyn Jiang saw the video. She was one of my followers, and the second the notification popped up, she clicked on it. When she saw Nina's ecstatic face and my expression of pure, unburdened relief, Her fingers tightened around her phone. She paused, zoomed in, replayed. She analyzed every frame like a detective. Finally, her eyes locked on a one shot. It was of me and Nina in front of the lodge. In the background were a distinctive bamboo fence and a uniquely shaped stone mill. She immediately opened her laptop and typed a few keywords into the Google search bar. Asheville, rustic lodge, bamboo fence, stone mill. Image after image appeared. She scrolled patiently. Suddenly, her pupils contracted. A promotional photo for a mountain lodge featured the exact same bamboo fence and stone mill from my video. She clicked the image. Below, it was the name and address of the lodge. Found you. A slow, dangerous smile spread across Jocelyn's face. 08 Nina and I were exhausted. We slept soundly, and I dreamed of nothing. The morning sun of the Appalachians filtered through the curtains, warming my face. I rolled over, feeling a small, warm body wiggling next to me. It was Nina, her little arm draped across my chest, her face flushed with sleep. I smiled, my heart full. Today was my birthday. No fancy gifts, no extravagant parties. Just my daughter by my side in this quiet moment. It was more than enough. Just as I was about to drift back to sleep, a series of violent, rapid bangs echoed through the cabin. Bang, bang, bang. It sounded like someone was trying to break the door down with their fist. The whole cabin seemed to shake. Nina was startled awake, burying herself in my arms, her voice trembling. Daddy, who's that? They're knocking so hard. Is it a bad guy? Wake up. Her little hands clutched my pajamas, her body shaking. The loud noise jolted me fully awake, a surge of irritation following close behind. Muttering under my breath, I yelled toward the door. Who is it? Can't you knock like a normal person? For God's sake, it's my birthday. Can't a guy get some sleep? My words had barely left my mouth when a deafening crack split the air. The sturdy-looking wooden door was kicked clean off its hinges. Splinters flew as harsh morning light flooded the room. A familiar silhouette stood framed in the doorway, radiating a terrifying aura of rage. A goddess of vengeance. Before I could even sit up or process what was happening, the figure moved. She crossed the room in a few long strides. I felt a searing pain in my scalp as a powerful hand grabbed my hair, yanking me out of bed and onto my knees on the floor. A bone-deep chill spread through me as I finally saw her face. It was my wife, Jocelyn. Her beautiful face was pale and hard as ice. The eyes I had loved for so long were burning with a furious fire that looked ready to consume me whole. She loomed over me, her voice a low, commanding snarl. On your knees. Faced with her absolute, terrifying fury, my brain shut down. My body, however, knew exactly what to do. My knees buckled, and I instinctively straightened my posture on the floor. Words tumbled out of my mouth before I could stop them. Honey, I'm sorry. You're scaring Nina. Calm down, just calm down. My own voice was trembling. I'm scaring her? Jocelyn laughed, a sound colder than a winter frost. You're the one who kidnapped our daughter, and you have the nerve to tell me I'm scaring her? If I hadn't come, I wouldn't have a daughter anymore. Her voice shot up, sharp with rage. I carried that child for 9 months, and you monster, you just stole her away. 09, her voice was high and trembling with rage. I carried that child for 9 months, and you monster, you just stole her away. I didn't steal her. I mumbled, my voice weak and hoarse against her tirade. Nina said she wanted to come with me. She didn't want to be with you. Before I could finish my sentence, the little traitor on the bed, who had been cowering behind me just moments before, made her move. Nina peeked out from under the covers, her wide eyes darting from me to the furious Jocelyn at the door. In the span of a single second, her expression shifted from terror to pure, unadulterated joy. Mommy! She shot up, scrambling across the bed and launching herself toward Jocelyn, her little arms outstretched. Mommy, I'll go with you. Don't listen to Daddy. I love you the mostest. Her voice was loud, her words clear, and filled with a heartfelt sincerity that was almost theatrical. I was floored. I stared in shock at my own daughter, the same one who, just days ago, had sworn she would be happy anywhere as long as she was with me. Now, she was clinging to Jocelyn's leg like a loyal Praetorian guard. My mouth hung open, but no sound came out. My heart felt like it had been stabbed by my own child. It was infuriating and, I had to admit, a little hilarious. The icy mask on Jocelyn's face cracked, replaced by a look of triumphant satisfaction. She bent down, scooping Nina into her arms and kissing her cheek. "That's my good girl, Nina." Cradling our daughter, she shot me a look of utter contempt. Unlike some other people I know, my face burned with shame. Jocelyn finally released my hair, her voice still dripping with ice. "Get up. We're leaving." Like a prisoner granted a pardon, I scrambled to my feet, feeling like a defeated rooster. Leaving? Was she hauling me back to New York for a trial? It made sense. After a stunt like this, I probably deserved it. I rubbed my numb knees, stammering, "Jocelyn, okay, just give me a minute to pack. It won't take long. I couldn't just leave all our new clothes here." Jocelyn, holding Nina, looked at me as if I'd just suggested we fly to the moon. "Pack what? Are you an idiot?" she snapped. "You wanted to kick your ass again. If we pack up now, where are we going to sleep tonight?" I froze, my hands hovering over a suitcase. What did she mean? I ventured cautiously. We're not going back." Jocelyn rolled her eyes, a look I knew all too well. 7 parts annoyance, 3 parts disbelief. "No, we're not going back. Did you forget what day it is? It's your birthday. Do you want to spend it on a plane?" My brain short-circuited. Birthday? Oh, right. It was my birthday. In the whirlwind of drama, I had completely forgotten. A confusing mix of emotions washed over me. Shock, relief, and utter bewilderment. I instinctively straightened up, like a soldier awaiting orders. Understood. Today's mission is to accompany Her Majesty on a royal outing. 10 that day, we went sightseeing around Asheville. We drove along the Blue Ridge Parkway, explored the downtown arts district, and ate our weight in barbecue and biscuits. Nina was attached to Jocelyn's hip the entire time, like a triumphant little general. Every so often, she'd look back at me and make a face, her expression clearly saying, "You lose, Daddy." I followed them like a zombie, my mind a tangled knot of confusion. That evening, back at the cabin, Nina was so exhausted she passed out the second her head hit the pillow. The room fell silent, leaving just me and Jocelyn. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken words. Jocelyn sat in a chair by the bed, the daytime warrior persona gone. She crossed her arms, her eyes watching me in the dim light. I felt my skin prickle under her gaze and decided to break the silence. "Hey, thanks for today. For my birthday." She ignored my thanks. "Ethan," she said out of nowhere, "do you feel like you've been horribly wronged?" My heart skipped a beat. "No," I said a little too quickly. "No." She let out a short, sarcastic laugh. "If you didn't feel wronged, then why did you run? You acted like a complete idiot. Leo Sparks tells you you're being replaced, and you just believe him. He says you're just a stand-in, so you believe that too, and your grand solution is to kidnap our daughter and run away." Her barrage of questions left me speechless, my face turning shades of red and white. Seeing my pathetic state, her expression softened slightly. If my best friend Jenna hadn't called me, telling me some fool was asking her about my dead childhood sweetheart, I never would have known you were capable of jealousy. I bristled. I wasn't jealous. Anyone would have reacted that way. "Oh, really?" she challenged, raising an eyebrow. "Yes." I found my voice, raising it to match hers. Jocelyn looked at me like I was a toddler throwing a tantrum. She sighed, a hint of exasperation in her voice. "Ethan, did you forget you had a nasty canker, sir, a few days ago? You could barely eat." I stared at her, confused. "That fruit? It's packed with vitamin C. It's good for canker sores," she explained, her tone slow and deliberate, as if she were speaking to a child. "I sent it to help you feel better." What kind of twisted fantasies were you cooking up in that head of yours? My brain went completely blank. So that's what it was? My mouth opened, but no words came out. My face was on fire, as if I'd just been slapped. "What else?" Jocelyn wasn't finished with me. "What else made you feel so wronged?" The dead childhood sweetheart. I was cornered, resorting to silence. She decided to lay it all out for me. "Fine, I'll tell you the truth. When I was a senior in college, I did confess my feelings to him. My heart sank again. And he said yes that same day," she continued, her voice turning cold and disgusted. "And what happened next? That same night, he took his flashy sports car and some girl I'd never seen before out for a joyride. They crashed. Both of them died on the scene. I looked up, stunned, staring at her in disbelief. So, when I told you I was glad he was dead, you thought I was lying? Jocelyn's lips twisted into a deeply ironic smile. I'm telling you, Ethan, that was the most honest thing I've ever said in my life. The whole thing was disgusting, humiliating. The guy I just confessed who immediately cheats on me, gets himself killed, and ends up on the evening news. Can you imagine how mortifying that was? Her chest heaved with anger. I was so furious and embarrassed that I went to that bar to get blackout drunk. And that's when I met you. I was completely frozen. All my anger, all my feelings of betrayal, dissolved in that moment, replaced by a profound sense of absurdity. I wasn't a substitute for some sainted memory. I was just the lucky guy she happened to meet right after a jerk spectacularly removed himself from her life. The truth about the one that got away was like a bomb detonating in my brain, obliterating all my previous feelings of righteous indignation. But I still had questions. What about the company and Leo and those pictures he sent me? The company? Jocelyn raised an eyebrow, looking at me as if I were the dumbest man on the planet. She paused, choosing her words carefully before dropping an even bigger bomb. That company is yours. Mine. My brain buzzed. I was sure I was hallucinating from lack of sleep. What do you mean, mine? It's your birthday present, Jocelyn said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. You're a 10 million follower influencer, aren't you? I figured you couldn't just be a stay-at-home husband forever. I thought I'd give you a media company, let you be your own boss, and help you grow your brand. Isn't that a good thing? My jaw was on the floor. I couldn't speak. A whole company. As a gift. Because I was a TikToker. The logic was both insane and incredibly extravagant, but it sent a wave of warmth through the coldest, most cynical part of my heart. Seeing my stunned silence, Jocelyn continued. As for Leo, he's an NYU grad. It's his field. The company is brand new, and I don't know the first thing about running a media startup. So I hired him as a consultant to help get things off the ground. That's why we were working late. It was all business. And the pictures? I pressed, still not quite ready to let it go. The pictures? Jocelyn scoffed, her voice filled with disdain. He took those himself. Sneak shots, weird angles to frame us together. At first, I just thought he was a clout chaser, but then it got weird, so I started ignoring him. I had no idea he was bold enough to use that garbage to manipulate you. She paused, her eyes turning icy. He must have dug up that story about my idiot ex-crush from somewhere and decided to get plastic surgery to look like him. He thought he could use that face to get close to me and hit the jackpot. The man is desperate. All the pieces clicked into place. Leo's arrival, the green fruit, the damning photos, his elaborate story about being my replacement. From beginning to end, it was all a pathetic one-man show, a desperate scam to climb the social ladder. And I was the gullible fool he had played for fiddle. My face burned with shame. I wanted the earth to swallow me whole. So, how did you find me? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The TikTok you posted, you moron, Jocelyn said, giving me an exasperated look. Did you think I don't follow you? I watch every single one of your videos. The second I saw that bamboo fence and the stone mill, I just Googled it. Your lodge was the first result. Of course, my grand escape, which I thought was so clever, was, in her eyes, just a childish tantrum where I'd left a trail of digital breadcrumbs. The betrayal and deception I had imagined were, in reality, a surprise she had been planning out of love. I looked at her at the dark circles under her eyes from the frantic, overnight journey, and my heart felt like it was overflowing. I wasn't a substitute. I never was. I was the one she cherished, the one she secretly watched over, the one she would spend a fortune on without a second thought. She looked at me, a mischievous glint in her eyes, though it was undercut by a dangerous chill. You know, Leo did give me a good idea. An idea for what? I asked. That places like psychiatric hospitals exist for a reason. Her mention of a psychiatric hospital sent a wave of cold dread through me. The anger I'd felt at being deceived was instantly replaced by a new, chilling fear. I swallowed hard. He's not going to get out and come after me, is he? A man twisted enough to get plastic surgery and invent such a lie seemed capable of anything. Jocelyn looked at my terrified expression and smirked, as if I were a country mouse who'd never seen the city. Oh, he's having a very hard time right now. She said it casually, as if talking about the weather. I had him committed. I stared at her, utterly dumbfounded. You had him committed? Can you even do that? Why not? She crossed her arms, looking at me coolly. He handed me all the evidence I needed. Seeing my confusion, she explained patiently. He got plastic surgery to look like my dead ex. Isn't that obsessive behavior? He delusionally believed he could replace you and that my company was for him. Isn't that a symptom of psychosis? He used covertly taken photos to manipulate and gaslight you. Doesn't that suggest paranoid tendencies? With every question, my blood ran colder. What I had seen as a character flaw, she had expertly framed as a collection of clinical symptoms. I simply found a team of highly qualified doctors and described the situation exactly as it occurred. The doctors made their own professional diagnosis, she said, her voice calm but radiating an unshakable power. Besides, he's an orphan. No family, no friends. Not a single person to vouch for him. I felt a shiver run down my spine. This woman was terrifyingly ruthless. Jocelyn saw the look on my face and a sly grin appeared. She leaned in closer. Ethan, let me ask you something. Do you know how you prove you're not mentally ill? The question stumped me. I tell the doctor I'm not sick. I answered instinctively. Jocelyn burst out laughing, a sound tinged with pity. You idiot. The more you frantically insist you're sane, the more convinced the doctor will be that you're deeply unwell. They'll just write in your chart. Patient is highly agitated and in denial of their condition. She paused, delivering the final line like a death sentence. And then, they increase your dosage. Boom. My entire worldview shattered. It was a perfect, inescapable trap. I looked at the woman before me, smiling like a cunning fox. For the first time, I saw her not just as my wife who could be playful and demanding, but as a queen who could move heaven and earth to protect her own. A profound sense of security washed over me. I opened my mouth, but only one sentence came out. Wow, you're amazing, honey. Just then, the little girl sleeping between us rolled over, mumbling in her sleep. Mommy, Daddy, stop talking. You're waking me up. Jocelyn and I looked at each other and smiled. The tension that had filled the room vanished, broken by our daughter's sleepy complaint. Jocelyn put a finger to her lips, and we both fell silent. The room was quiet again, filled only with the sound of Nina's steady breathing. Moonlight streamed through the window, casting a halo on her soft hair. We settled back in a bed, flanking her on either side. I turned on my side, watching my wife and daughter sleep, my heart completely and utterly full. With the misunderstanding cleared up, the sky in Asheville seemed even bluer. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of Nina's laughter. The little rascal was using me as a climbing gym, while Jocelyn sat on the edge of the bed, watching us with a warmth I'd never seen before. My grand escape plan, now, seemed like a ridiculous, childish tantrum. The rest of our vacation became the honeymoon we never had. On a windy peak in the Blue Ridge Mountains, I pulled Jocelyn and Nina into a tight hug against the cold. She stiffened for a second, then a blush crept up her cheeks. She pinched my side, muttering, "You're so childish," but the smile in her eyes gave her away. In downtown Asheville, we bought kitschy local crafts. Nina ran ahead like a little hummingbird while Jocelyn and I walked hand in hand behind her. She stuffed her face with pastries, and when she couldn't eat anymore, she'd shove the rest in my mouth. I pretended to complain while happily eating every last crumb. My camera was working overtime. The footage was no longer of a lonely father and his daughter, but of a family of three, laughing and holding each other close. That night, back at the cabin, I edited the new footage into a video. I chose the cheesiest, most romantic song I could find for the background music. The video opened with me shouting, "I love you," from a mountaintop and ended with a silhouette of our family against the setting sun. I watched the final cut, a wide grin spreading across my face. I gave it the most obnoxious title I could think of, Captured and Brought to Justice. Turns out my wife is madly in love with me. The moment I hit upload, I could already imagine the chaos in the comments. As expected, my account exploded within half an hour. WTF, this plot twist is better than most movies. 1 minute he's running for his life, the next he's begging for forgiveness. OMG, you guys, I thought Ethan was finally having his rebellious era, but he just found a new location for his PDA. I can't, this is too cute. Am I the only one who saw the way Jocelyn looks at him? That is pure adoration. Case closed. This isn't a substitute story. It's a true love story. My follower count jumped by another million overnight. Reading the endless stream of El Mayo and I'm dying from the sweetness comments. The last of my bruised ego healed completely. I was vindicated. The vacation ended, and our family of 3 boarded a flight back to New York. I had left in despair. I was returning with my daughter's hand in my left and my wife's in my right, my heart full. When we landed, Jocelyn didn't take us home. The driver took us to a sleek, brand-new office building in Midtown. "We're here," she said, nodding at me, a proud glint in her eye. I followed her into the lobby. The company name was displayed in large, gold letters on the wall behind the reception desk. It was the same media company from Leo's photos, the one that had sent me into a spiral of despair. "From today on, this is all yours." Jocelyn pressed a key card into my hand. Her voice was casual, but it felt like a boulder had just been dropped into my world. She led me to the largest corner office. A plaque on the door read, "Ethan Vance, CEO." I stared at the 2 words, feeling like I was dreaming. From a trophy husband living off his wife to CEO of my own company. The transition was dizzying, surreal. I pushed the door open. The office was spacious and bright, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bustling heart of Manhattan. Jocelyn came up behind me, wrapping her arms around my waist and resting her chin on my shoulder. "Mr. So," she whispered, her breath warm against my ear, her voice laced with that familiar, mischievous tone. "You're going to be surrounded by beautiful, talented female influencers now. You'd better behave yourself." Staring at the CEO plaque on my office door, I still felt like I was floating. This birthday present from Jocelyn was almost too much to handle. When I stepped into the main workspace, I was met with a whirlwind of activity. The office was filled with young, ambitious, and stunningly beautiful people. Leggy models, sharp-witted comedians, quirky gamers, influencers of every stripe were busy in their studios, smiling for cameras or excitedly brainstorming their next viral hit. And now I, a man who got his start by piggybacking on his wife's fame, was their boss. Luckily, if I have one skill, it's being approachable. That combined with my 10 million follower account, earned me some instant credibility. Within a few days, I was on a first-name basis with everyone. "Ethan, can you look at this script? I feel like it's missing something." "Mr. Vance, my live stream views are down. Do you think I should try a different angle?" I happily dove in, discussing content, cracking jokes, and sharing my influencer experience. Soon, Mr. Vance was replaced entirely by Ethan. Just as I was starting to enjoy my newfound status, a familiar figure appeared ghost-like in my doorway. Well, Mr. CEO, looking pretty important there." Jenna Meng was leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, a knowing smirk on her face. My heart sank. "What are you doing here?" "Me?" She sauntered in on her high heels, making herself at home on my expensive leather couch. "Jocelyn sent me. She was worried you couldn't handle things on your own, so she made me your executive assistant." She paused, winked, and lowered her voice. "Basically, I'm her spy. Get it?" "Oh, I got it. I got it all too well." My brief period of freedom was officially over. Jenna was a 24/7 high-definition surveillance system installed in my life. If I chatted with a new influencer for 2 minutes too long, a text for Jocelyn would pop up within 5. "How's the new hire's performance? Does she really require so much one-on-one training from the CEO?" During a meeting, if my gaze lingered for half a second too long on a streamer in a short skirt, I'd come home to find a keyboard placed ominously in the center of the living room floor. "Honey, I'm so sorry. My mind just wandered for a second." I'd plead, expertly dropping to my knees. Jocelyn would stand over me, holding Nina, and ask coolly, "Oh, it wandered. Then what color was her skirt?" I'd have no answer, forced to bow my head in defeat. Nina would clap her hands gleefully. "Daddy's kneeling on the keyboard again. Go, Mommy." I wanted to cry. One evening, as I was wrapping up my work, my office door flew open. Nina charged in like a tiny cannonball and hugged my leg. "Daddy!" I laughed and scooped her up. Jocelyn followed behind her, carrying a cake box from my favorite bakery. She was wearing a sleek dress, her hair down, and her presence seemed to light up the entire room. Before I could say a word, Jenna appeared, a look of pure mischief on her face. "Jocelyn, you're here. You need to get your husband in line," she announced loudly. A knot of dread formed in my stomach. Jenna continued her dramatic performance. Today, he was checking out that new dancer we signed, the one with the long legs. He was staring. I saw it with my own two eyes. My scalp tingled. "That's a lot." I shot back. "I was not." Jocelyn's eyes narrowed. She set the cake down and slowly advanced on me. "Is that so?" The next thing I knew, her soft but unyielding fingers had found my ear and were twisting it expertly. "Ow, ow, honey, it hurts." "She's lying, I swear." I yelped, trying to dodge while still holding Nina. Jocelyn applied a little more pressure, though the corner of her mouth was twitching with a smile. "It had better be a lie." She let go, giving me a mock-stern look. "Come on, let's go home for dinner." Granted a reprieve, I clutched Nina and scurried after Jocelyn like a loyal puppy. Behind us, Jenna was trying to stifle her laughter, giving me one last triumphant smirk. And so, our little family left the office, our laughter echoing down the hallway.